One of the most common things people say about the important men in their lives is that we've never really talked about it. The conflict happened, the hurt happened, and then it was just expected that we move on. No dialogue, no accountability, no repair. Simply silence. And while this isn't exclusive to just men, nor all men, many men in particular were never taught or modeled what accountability and repair look like in relationships. Not because they're incapable of it, but rather they weren't shown how, and often they weren't expected to take accountability nor to repair. Instead, many boys grew up receiving messages like, be tough, don't cry, move on, get over it, suck it up, don't be weak. The focus often becomes analysis, logic, performing, producing, and enduring discomfort, turning away from exploring and acknowledging feelings, existing within their own experience and that of somebody else's. Relational skills are life skills, not soft skills, but fundamental to upholding healthy connections, which is a universal human need. Repair is a skill. Listening is a skill. Self-reflection is a skill. Taking accountability is a skill. And many men were not taught these skills in the same way they were taught achievement, independence, analytics, or productivity. So what happens when accountability and repair are missing? When accountability is missing, the trust erodes. Over time, the message becomes clear to this other person that there is no interest in acknowledging the harm that's been caused, no interest in the impact that these actions have had on me. When repair is missing, relationships become stuck. The hurt remains, the distance remains, and often what happens is that this person learns that the safest thing to do is to simply stop expressing their concerns altogether to this important man in their life. Not because the concern isn't important or because it's no longer there, but because experience has taught them that they will often feel worse afterwards. No curiosity, no acknowledgement, no meaningful conversation, no repair. And unfortunately, many men hold the experience as boys of being shamed when they unintentionally hurt someone, and may still carry that shame as adults. The pressure to not show weakness is contradictory to what accountability and repair require. It requires vulnerability, which isn't shameful. It's human. And when accountability feels like shame, defensiveness often follows. Blame shifting, minimizing, avoidance, withdraw. But accountability isn't about humiliation. Accountability is a willingness to stay present with impact, to listen, to stay curious and empathetic, and when possible, to repair. And the absence of these skills doesn't only affect partners, children, friends, coworkers, the people in these men's lives. It affects the men themselves. Their relationships suffer. Intimacy suffers. Trust suffers. And these men may genuinely care about those around them while simultaneously struggling to maintain closeness. Many men inherited emotional rules that they never chose and that weren't ultimately in their best interest. And there are men who are now doing the difficult work of questioning these rules, of building a new foundation of relational skills. Because the good news is that these skills can be learned at any age. Accountability can be learned. Repair can be learned. Emotional awareness can be learned. The ability to stay present during difficult conversations can be strengthened. None of us get to choose what we were taught as children, but we do have choices about what we continue practicing as adults. And with Father's Day approaching, there's a lot of focus on celebrating fathers. There's also focus on grief, disappointment, or complicated relationships. And for many people, the relationship with their father or father figures contains elements of both. There may be love, there may be appreciation, and there may also be hurt. As one pattern that often emerges is the absence of accountability or repair. Not necessarily because the father didn't care, but because he may never have learned how to take accountability or repair in the first place. Understanding that context, however, doesn't erase the impact. This is not an excuse, but it can help us hold a more complete picture of what many of the important men in our lives have been up against in terms of learning accountability and repair. So whether you're reflecting on your relationship with your father, your own role as a father, or the important men in your life, it may be worth considering. What happens after harm occurs? What happens after conflict? What happens after the misunderstanding? Because healthy relationships are not built on perfect outcomes or analysis. They're built on trust, on connection, on accountability, and repair. They're built on the willingness to remain present when things get difficult. As always, take good care of yourself. You're so worth it.